Hello everyone, Railgan here. Today we're having a look at the Zerg vs Terran matchup. Once again, two-base Mutalisk, but this time it's more about the transition to late game. Transitioning away from the Mutalisk is what we're having a deep dive on today. Kind of the goals, we're going to have a look at how I got the two-base Mutalisk out, how I kept the Terran busy with the Mutalisks, how I ecoed up the third base, how I got my upgrades out, how I got my fourth base, how I eventually got to the Hive tech, how I transitioned to Lingbane Ultralisk Infestor Hydralisk away from the Mutalisk, how I survived the mid-game pushes, and how I tried to keep the Terran from taking a fourth base. So I'm playing against Pyropuff here, 5.5k Terran on the European server, so very high in GM is what this Terran is. He's also really good. He won a lot of games against me, and we're going to see how I'm playing out this game. Once again, I'm going for a 16 pool, 18 hatchery, 17 supply gas. I drone. I think I'm gonna send 2 links across the map. I'm not quite sure. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I think he plays the Reaper at home quite a lot, so I might not do that. I'm getting my queen out. I'm saving money for that link speed. The queen tries to keep the Reaper away. It's very persistent with its Reaper. Doing a little bit of harassment, and well, that's it for the first 3 minutes, right? It's nothing special. Just queens and drones is what I'm doing against this guy. I could have tried to send some links across the map, but in the end, you're going to see a polar opposite of what you saw in the last game that I uploaded, where I did a lot of damage to the opponent. This time around, the opponent is going to do quite a bit of damage to me. So he has hellions out, more hellions are driving across the map. I'm once again gonna go for a counter here. I have my lair done. Once the lair is done, Spire and Baning Nest are on their way. I'm taking the third base, one queen is spreading creep. I'm building a couple links at home right now to defend against the eventual hellion attack, while my links, let's have first a little bit of a look at what my links managed to accomplish on his side of the map. So I get links into the main base, I see the starport, I see the banshees, I kind of know what's coming my way. I'm also able to take quite a bit of mining time from him. Now we're having a look at what's happening on my side, where he's attacking me with hellions. The hellions are driving into the natural. They already killed the 8 or so links that I had out, and they're doing a lot of damage to me here. Really not happy about what's happening here. Maybe he didn't even kill the links, but in the end he got 9 workers killed and I only got 3 workers killed. So I would say an advantage to my opponent at this point in the game. However, I do have an ace up my sleeve, as he's going for banshees while I'm going for mutalisks, which is of course an advantageous position. 12 mutalisks are popping at a time. I'm a little bit late on the upgrades this time around. I'm building spore crawlers at all the bases against the banshees. He's smartly keeping the banshees at home because he knows there's a threat of me once again attacking him with those banelings or something like that. And he really wants to be safe. He has missile turrets all set up at home. I'm getting my evolution chambers up right now. I'm droning my third base fully. Just while all this is going on, I have a minimal link count at home, so I could immediately morph 8 banelings and then switch over to baning production. My mutalisks are very aggressive, so I'm always checking what is he building. I saw that he was building the Vikings and banshees, so I know he's not very heavy on the medevac count. It allows me to deny his third base for quite some time. He could try to take it, but it would be a little bit difficult to pull off. His worker count is super high. He is oversaturated right now, but the quick banshees that he played really make it hard for him to take that third base, as my mutalisks, as they do not help against the mutalisks. And I intentionally built more mutalisks and delayed my upgrades a bit. Once I have my third base saturated, I took my fourth base, saturated on the minerals. I built an infestation pit and a hydra den with my gas. I still only have the initial 11 mutalisks that I built. 10 of those are still alive. The Banshees are a bit annoying. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're killing too many workers. He killed 5 workers with those Banshees. It's at 9 before, now it's at 14. So I hunt them down. One dies, the other one, I'm not sure if I actually get it. And he has a big enough infantry army right now that I can no longer keep him from taking a third base with the Mutalisk alone. But I'm of course still looking. Find that missile turret, find a medivac, just take whatever kills I get, right? And as long as I'm putting pressure on him, this is a very important lesson. If you put pressure on your opponent has to respond to it. And by responding to your pressure, your opponent will not be able to apply pressure to you, because what would you rather have? Your opponent micro at home defend against Mutalisk, or your opponent attacking you with medivacs and marines, right? It's much easier to attack and apply the pressure, because then you can choose, like, now I have to macro, finish macroing, now I apply pressure, I go back to macro. Otherwise you have to adjust to the rhythm of your opponent, and that is true for every league. So that's why when you say well, I'm too slow to play Mutalisk, it's kind of not true, because your opponent is also too slow to defend against Mutalisk. Always a good thing to go for Mutas, right? But when my infestation pit was done, I immediately started my hive. I'm going up to 6 hatcheries right now. I really need those. My macro is usually quite terrible. Hive is done. I get the Ultralisk cavern. I'm building a couple infestors right now. I have Lingbane ready. I was a bit distracted at home with the macro instead of attacking with my Mutalisk, so I'm a little bit scared of him moving out. I don't know if he's dropping me right now. I kind of lost the count of the medivacs, but right now the Mutalisks allowed me to safely drone up at home, get into a really good position. 80 workers is kind of where I want to be at. 80 workers, 4 bases with a total of 8 gases taken, and then just Lingbane Hydra Infestor is what I'm building right now. I don't need a lot of infestors. 2 to 4 infestors are enough, depending on what my gas count is currently at. Opponent is getting ready to move out with quite a hefty force. I think I'm a little bit luckier once again, getting a snipe on that one tank, and maybe even getting a snipe on the other tank, because he sadly do not get that tank, but I lose a lot of Mutalisks for it. He's now scanning, he's getting ready to attack me. But my Lingbane Hydra force is not to be underestimated. If you look at the supply, I am down in supply. In the fight, I'm commanding the Banelings in to get as steep as possible on top of those Marines. The Infestors are a huge threat, keeping him from just bunching up all of his units. Once again, moved a little bit too far forward, immediately capitalizing on that. Here you see a little bit of a wonky interaction. So you might notice that I'm abducting and nothing gets abducted. So what you're about to watch is me abducting a 4. See? There. Abduct. I abducted the 4, but the 4 got picked up. And if you pick up a unit while it's being abducted, nothing happens. The tank just hits the ground, and well, you're out of luck, right? But at this point, I'm in a good position, right? My opponent made a misstep, of course. It always, like, eventually, you're never going to see a game where both players play perfectly unless you watch a Clem Cyril game. But at my MMR, that's not really a thing. I'm only 5.2, 5.5k is what my opponent is right now, right? You're not going to see a perfect game from start to finish. But now I'm trying to keep him from taking that 4th base. That's my main goal. I managed to kill it. He has to rebuild a new 4th base. So I know I have a little bit of time, like roughly 2 minutes before that base is fully set up. I'm poking around. I know I have Overlord over there, so he's not getting ready to put me down there. I see that he's building Liberators. I immediately fire up the +1 missile attack upgrade to eventually counter those. Vipers would be quite useful, but honestly, microing Ling Bane, Hydra Infestor, then microing the Corruptors, and also abductions, and it's just a little bit much. Instead I'm getting the Microbial Shroud. I want to focus on the Infestors in this game. Trying to find a way for me to hit him. My Ultralists are kinda low, but once again, a glorious funnel is what is able to get me into this game. So what you saw in this game were some quite nice funnels into my opponent rage quitting out of the game. But I hope, for those of you who asked me, can't you just show us a game where you do not win with the Mutalisk, or where you're not ahead when you enter the Mutalisk stage? Now you're probably going to say, well, Railgan, can't you show us a game where you do not land any funnels? And then you're going to say, well, I'm not going to build infestors. And you're going to say, well, can't you show us a game where your opponent has ghosts ready when the lurk is it? There's always an exception to the rule, right? There's always, you can always ask something. If nothing goes well for you in a game, you're gonna lose the game. This time, my early game was quite bad, quite poor, but my mid game was strong. My mid game was strong. I got that. Had a lot of harassment on him with the Mutalisks, and in the late game, was really strong against that bio push with the funnel, and then I was able to keep on pressuring him at his 4th base before he got the planetary upright, heavy pressure, lock down the map with those with the overlords, and win the game. You want to see more? Tell me what you want to see. I'll try to make it work. Thank you for watching.